Hey guys, welcome back. It is your favorite Gimp with a Limp, and I'm here with the final part of Ager Sanguinis. I know some of you will be sad to hear that. You'll notice a lot of stuff has changed on the board. I'm going to go ahead and explain that all real quick to you, and then we're going to cover some final stuff about campaign play and castle sieges and all that good stuff. So basically, I went ahead and ran out the rest of the game, and I'm going to show you what happened in it. Unfortunately, I just ran out of time. I've only got so much table space. I've got other games I've got to cover. I've got another game by this publisher I want to cover, Custer. Looks really good, so I'm going to be showing that to you guys a little bit later on as well. And I wanted to try to max this at 10 parts, and I did not realize I was already so far into it. There's just so much good stuff, and I would leave this game on my table longer if I didn't have to worry about covering other stuff, right? So if I didn't have a channel to run, this game would definitely be taking up a lot more table space and all the stuff, all the time. I would definitely spend a lot of time on this one. But I went ahead, ran it out. The Normans did end up winning with their 4 buildings captured. It was pretty well decided at that point. They had a good lockdown here. But the short version is the Turks did end up attempting to make a push out. You notice this building cleared out over here, down here. They cleared out and they basically assaulted, trying to push back the Normans because it was the only chance they had to win. They really had to make a good push. And I think I didn't play the Turks quite as well as I could have. But yeah, it's hindsight. Live and you learn with it. Unfortunately, they pushed in and they kind of tried to push this way and this way. And when they were pushing this way, they got lit up by archery, by archer fire. That hurt them a fair amount because they were actually accurate this time. And then not to mention there were some extra guys left here at the bottom who were able to come in. And at this point, they're surrounded. There's Normans here. There's Normans here behind them. They're going to be getting attacked just massively. So they were going to die regardless at that point. Some have been stunned. Some have been killed. This defensive terrain right here in the center was giving them a big advantage. They just could not push the Normans off of it. They did get a few kills up here, but the cavalry battle did not go well for them in the north. They were able to hold back. Jocelyn, the leader of the Normans, pulled back around and was hanging back. A couple of peasants just came here just to stand in front of the archers just in case someone snuck around, but that ended up not happening. And then we did have some cavalry pushes because over here they got beat back pretty bad. And when this fell, the Turks ran out of the building to join the assault. So basically this building emptied, trying to attack into them. And when that happened, these guys pushed out because then they stood the danger of being surrounded because they could push in and these guys could push in. So they figured, well, at least we'll come in and try to push into the attack. But that did open them up to have guys come up on their 6 here. They did hang up a little bit here. They had a little fighting still going on, another guy coming around. They just weren't able to get any real good traction going on in this, and they ended up all fighting right here in the center. But that line held. They just were not able to get past this. Like I said, that defensive terrain kept giving them the advantage, and now they actually did have some advantages where they were doing 2-on-1, but their rolls just didn't go well. Although, honestly, the last few rounds rolls were kind of crappy in both directions. No one was really getting any headway with anything that they were doing. They would hit, nothing would happen. They would hit back, nothing would happen. Someone might retreat a hex and then come back, retreat a hex, come back. It just really not a whole lot went down. But the Normans were able to pull out a minor victory by controlling 4 of the 7 buildings on the map. And I gotta say, this was a fun one. This was just a blast to play. And I cannot wait to try some more with higher level troop counts, with a little more open space, and some cavalry charges can get involved in it. But the big one that I'm looking forward to trying is the one I want to show you guys. But before we do that, I didn't want to show you the back of this rulebook that will show you some of the others in the series. So I'm going to butcher all these names like I've done before. Gusgard, Die-Eye, because that's what I call it. The Anarchy and Ager Sanguinis is the one that we just filmed. So these are others in the series if you want to try some of these out. And they do have some more that are coming out. And this Fortress of Outrimmer. Yeah. Am I saying that right? Yeah. Outrimmer? One of the two. This has, in addition to the map of the Cave Fortress of Suith, The extension for Montgazard and Ager Sanguinis will feature a double map, which will combine the two maps of Fortified Harbor and will simulate a fortified medieval city. That just sounds freaking awesome. I am definitely going to have to try that out. This extension will also offer scenarios to reenact, among other things, the sieges of Jerusalem or Beirut, as well as the campaign map for the county of Tripoli. So a lot of different areas you can try out in this. I did want to briefly touch on the campaign system for the game. I have showed some of these maps before, but I wanted to show you guys real quick. This is one of the ones that's in Montgazard, and it is double-sided. So you guys can see this is not a map like this map that we were playing on. This is the one where you'll have your campaign pieces on it, and you'll move around and take territory and grow your troops and keep track of your resources, all that type good stuff, and then maybe have some castle sieges or fights out in the open field. Real cool stuff. So you have to keep track of what territory you're in, what you're attacking, whether it's a city or a castle. So these games that you're playing, these small scenarios, don't necessarily have to be just a one-off. They can be part of a campaign where you grow and expand and control territory. Really, really like how they did that. I'm going to show you the player aid that comes with this. Now, again, this one's from Montgazard. This is the campaign game. And you can see there's a terrain effects chart over here on the left that tells you movement points and what type of terrain that is. So if it's a large castle or a cave fortress, a village, towns, cities, all that different type of stuff. And then, of course, you got your rivers, forests. A lot of cool things that they have on this. And you can see the different counters for controlling your troops, looting, recruiting people, your settlement management here at the top, where it tells you how many forces you have depending on the level of your settlement effectively. Let's see, the higher the number of the resources, the more fighters are available. Double the number of defenders in the case of a city. Divide the number of defenders by 2, round down in the case of a village. And then combat against group head count shown over here. Relations between the campaign map and the tactical map shown here. And something that looks really awesome that I want to try is a castle siege. And this map is in Montgazard. It looks like it's a very, very large map. I pulled out one of the pieces and it was huge. And actually, let me do that real quick, show you just a piece of this map. Okay, so just to kind of show you what you're looking at, this is the map, right? This shows you the entire map for this siege, and there's special rules, game sequence for how the siege works. You can heal your troops. You're wounded. You have siege equipment. I mean, so many awesome things going on with this. And you can see there's a turn count for how long the siege is going on. But right here, we're looking here at the bottom piece of it. Okay, right here, that is this. So just this lower portion of the map right here. So this will be 3 maps. It looks long. Is this part that takes up the entire space of the area that we were just playing in. So this one scenario that I just did is this whole map, right? It's the same size. So it would extend on a couple of maps further. I'd have to readjust it on my table to lay it all out, but it would be a huge game. Just imagine all the troops that you have laid out. And that's really going to come into play. Well, you'll have archers on the parapets, guys throwing javelins. There's siege towers and equipment that you can put up along the edges to climb your way in. And then imagine getting your troops in, and then your troops are coming in behind them and they're fighting. This would be like, you know, the Kingdom of Heaven movie, or I kind of think Lord of the Rings. The second one was that the Siege of Helm's Deep, you know, kind of going on with this stuff. That's what you're going to have here. Now, of course, this doesn't have orcs. This is more true to life stuff, but no reason you can't pretend that the Turks are orcs or the Normans are orcs if it works for you. But this would just be an awesome game type to play. And I love that they do have the ability. So it's not just a tactical skirmish game set in the medieval times, you do have the ability to have campaign gameplay going on. You do have the ability to do castle sieges. You have town sieges, cities, villages, depending on how big you want your game to go. If you want to go huge with it, you have that option. But if you want something small that you could play in an evening, you have that ability as well. I gotta say though, the improvements they've made to the game since I first started it are outstanding. Now I do have a few minor little irks that I would like to see changed maybe over time. Maybe have, like I said, a red dot on the wounded counter, just so you know, without even having to compare the stats. It's still fairly easy to tell whether or not a counter is wounded. It's really easy to check the stats and see, but it would make it easier at a glance. That way, you know, bam, red dot, it's wounded, something to that effect. Minor gripe in the totality of everything, but I definitely have to say they improved it as far as the counters themselves were concerned. They were a pain in the ass. I hated using the ones from Die, and I know you guys are gonna give me crap in the comments about saying that wrong, but that's what that game's called. It's Die. I'm going with that. But I hated using those. I even had trouble with tweezers getting it off the board. And this was just a pleasure to play all the way around, especially once you feel these maps. The textured material that they're made out of is excellent. And they really do a good job of gripping the counters when you're using them. And it's kind of making me jealous because I'm getting ready to start a different game that has the smooth, glossy map style, poster style map. And the counters definitely slide on that a hell of a lot easier than they do on this. They really stick to these maps. I love this texture. Anyway, again, I am sorry I had to cut it short. I just flat ran out of time and I had to check myself because I would play the game a lot more. I definitely recommend it for anyone who is into this medieval type, early 10th century, 12th century, whatever era that you're in. But if you're into the swords and shields and archers and javelins and all that type gameplay, and you want something tactical set in that, you know, hex and counter, bam, this is it. This is awesome, especially with the named counters and the stats, and the game plays easy. It's not hard to figure out, and you can make a judgment call on scenarios if you have to. It's not hard enough that you can't just figure it out real easy. You can read the rule book in an afternoon and sit down playing the game that evening, no problem. Now, of course, it's not for everybody. If you need a gun, you're going to have to look elsewhere. They don't have pike and shot. Not that I know of. Maybe they'll look into that later on down the road. But I think that would be beyond this game system. I don't think it's designed to have that type of stuff. It's too much into archery and swords and shields and all that other good stuff. But I do hope you guys have enjoyed the series. Definitely check it out if you are interested in it. I know they are trying to expand their distribution as far as the game is concerned. I'm not sure how far along they've gotten with that so far, but I do wish them success, and I hope that they are able to get it into some more distributors here in the US so people have an easier time getting a hold of it. Anyway, if you guys have any questions, feel free to put them down below. You guys take care. I'll see you in the next one.